Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Attadipanam bhikkhave viheratang attasarananang ananya sarananang. Dhammadipanang dhammasarananang ananya sarananang. Yonisova upaparikkitabbāti. Dear venerable brother, Dhamma friends, so basically for past couple of months we have kept one particular sutta as the theme for this series of discussions. So basically that sutta is called Attadipa Sutta, available in the Kanda Sangyutta. You know that Buddha has basically categorized, or rather we can say various suttas that Buddha has explained based on aggregates, later being categorized into what we call as the Kanda Sangyutta, the connected discourses based on the aggregates. So in that series there is one sutta called Attadipa Sutta, meaning that you got to be an island unto yourself. There is no any other refuge, there is no any other kind of help, you are the help. And Dhammadipa bhikkhave dhammasarana ananya sarana. Dhamma as a refuge, Dhamma as an island, and there is no any other refuge. So that is very interesting way of presenting the Dhamma. So basically there is another sutta where Buddha highlights, so what is the meaning of this whole thing. There he introduced 4 foundations of mindfulness as the be an island. So that as your refuge. You are maintaining yourself as a refuge, you are using your body as a refuge, feelings as a refuge, formations as a refuge, consciousness as a refuge, so that you are developing inner qualities, inner spiritual qualities based on those in a way. It is not that we are trying to attach to them, rather we are trying to investigate them, using it to develop necessary skills, qualities, so that ultimately we can let them go, give it up. And here also Buddha mentioned from a different angle, Attadipa bhikkhave viherata attasarana ananya sarana. Monks, you got to be an island unto yourself, refuge as a yourself, and there is no any other external refuge. Dhammadipa dhammasarana ananya sarana. Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha, as a refuge, as an island, there is no any other refuge. And there's another instruction that Buddha gives after making this statement. Attadipanam bhikkhave viheratang attasarananang ananya sarananang dhammadipanam dhammasarananang ananya sarananang yoniso upavarikkitabbā. So while you are dwelling like this, that means you are making yourself as an island, yourself as a refuge, Dhamma as an island, Dhamma as a refuge. Now what you need to do? You have to do a kind of a introspection. You have to investigate internally. Yoniso upaparikkitabbā. As we even discussed during the last discussion, through a wise reflection. Not simply in a superficial way. Rather, you have to look at yourself, look at the body, the mind, in a more wise way. It's an introspection. Internally you are investigating. So what you need to investigate? Kinjatika soka parideva dukkha domanassa kim pahotika. So how all these sorrows, lamentations, any kind of despair, any kind of suffering, how they are arising? What is the cause? What is the reason? So in a way, so we are investigating, is there any suffering right now? Is there any kind of an agitation right now? Is there any kind of suffering, worry, restlessness, irritation right now in this mind? So body of course can't help, because body is the body. Body can go through various kinds of irritations, body can go through various bodily pains. Probably you can try to overcome that by little changing your posture. But it's not going to help in the long run because it is suffering. That we need to admit in a way. So as we are born into this human realm, so this body is something that we are born with or we have acquired, and it is going through various sort of changes, and inevitably we have to go through aging, painful states, kind of say breakages, etc., old age, all that inevitable. But on the other hand, how about the mind? Currently, is there any suffering in the mind? Is there any agitation in the mind? Is there any worry in the mind? Is there any restlessness, irritation, friction in the mind? So that is what Buddha is aiming. That is what Buddha is asking. So while you are dwelling mindfully, keeping yourself as an island, as a refuge, now you need to internally investigate, is there any suffering right now available? And there, Buddha explained that into 5 categories. So this, in case if there is any agitation, in case if there is any worry, any kind of restlessness, any kind of suffering, it can happen due to 4 categories of reasons. That's what we already going one after the other. In one category, Buddha mentioned, okay, you may be considering the body, the form, whatever the materiality as yourself. You are identifying with it as a person. Considering this body is mine, considering this body as myself, this body belongs to me, or I am in this body, or body is inside myself. Many different ways, particularly the 4 different ways that you are identifying with the body, or you are identifying with any of the other material aggregate. So we already discussed that part. Rupang attato samanupassati. Rupavantang va attanang. Attaniva rupang. Rupasming va attanang. So 4 different ways that we can identify with respect to the form. And then similarly, Buddha explained with respect to the feelings, with respect to perceptions, and with respect to formations. That means Rupa upadanakkhandha, Vedana upadanakkhandha, Sanya upadanakkhandha, Sankhara upadanakkhandha. And we covered all these 4 in the past few months. And today we are going to cover the last one, which is that consciousness, Vijnana upadanakkhandha. So that means, in case if we have any kind of an agitation, in case if we have any kind of a worry, any kind of a suffering, any kind of friction in the mind, either you have to cling to the form aggregate, or you might be clinging to feelings, or you might be clinging to formations, perceptions, or consciousness. So that is something that we need to investigate. To which one am I clung to? To which one am I grasped with currently, in the present moment? In case there is an unhappiness, in case there is a worry, in case any kind of a despair, in case any kind of a friction, suffering. Something should be there, otherwise there can't be any suffering. So basically, on the other hand, we can argue, if there is no clinging at all, if there is no grasping at all, if there is no any identification at all, then there can't be any suffering. Simple as that. So, without clinging, without grasping, without attachment, you can't identify with aggregates. So, clinging, grasping becomes some sort of a prerequisite. So either you have to engage with it, either you have to adhere to it, either you have to come closer to it, either you have to attach to it, grasp it, adhere to it. So some sort of an association should be there, then only you are identifying with it, then only you are suffering. On the other hand, if there is no such thing at all, then there can't be any inner suffering, mental suffering. So now today we are going to investigate how this consciousness aggregate is going to cause this suffering. So there also Buddha explained, Idda bhikkave asutava putujjano Ariyanang adasvi adassavi ariya dhammassa akovido ariya dhamme avinito. Sappurisanang adassavi sappurisa dhammassa akovido sappurisa dhamme avinito. So basically the understanding it is that there is a person who doesn't have any understanding about the Buddha's teaching, the noble one's teaching, and he has never been to associate a noble person, and into that there are teachings that there is no any skill in him, and he has never tried even to understand the teaching. In such case, what happened? Viññānaṁ attato samanupassati. So he directly recognized consciousness as myself. Viññānavantaṁ va attānaṁ. So basically, I possess consciousness. Basically, a self-possessed consciousness. Attaniva viññānaṁ. Consciousness as in self. That means inside me there is consciousness. Or viññānasmiñ va attānaṁ. Self as in consciousness. Consciousness is something. Inside that consciousness there is I. There is a person. There is myself. So when I am telling like this, it might be difficult to understand. So let's come to little basics. So what is this viññāna? What is the definition of viññāna? So there is very interesting clear-cut definitions given for this. For example, in the Kajjaniya Sutta, Buddha asked the question, Kincha bhikkhave viññānaṁ vadeta. Monks, why is it called viññāna? Why is it called consciousness? Vijānātīti ko bhikkhave tasmā viññānanti vicchati. Cognizing. That is why it is called viññāna. That is why it is called consciousness. And now he asks the question, what is cognizing? And then he explains, Kincha vijānāti. Ambilampi vijānāti, tittakampi vijānāti, katukampi vijānāti, madurakampi vijānāti. So likewise he's gone on. That means he's given an example. You may recognize, okay, now there's a sour taste. You might recognize, okay, now there's a bitter taste. You might recognize, now there's a pungent taste. Now there's a sweet taste. So likewise, assume that you are taking your meal. Maybe in the morning, maybe in the your main meal. So while you are having it, you can distinctly recognize, okay, now I am experiencing a bitter taste. Now I am experiencing a sour taste. Now I am experiencing a kind of another, say, pungent taste. So likewise, different taste, many combinations are there, but you can distinctly recognize. So this ability, while many things are there, you are distinctly recognizing something. So that is where the cognition happens. Buddha sometimes give another example. Say, for example, actually there the Venerable Sariputta gives another example with respect to feelings. Say we are going through different kinds of feelings. Pleasurable feelings, painful feelings, equanimous feelings. So when you are going through a pleasurable feeling, you can distinctly know, okay, now I am going through a pleasurable feeling. Whenever you are going through a painful feeling, you know exactly, okay, now there is a pain. But there are various other feelings as well. There may be at some other place a pleasurable feeling, some other place there is an equanimous feeling. But at this particular place, okay, you know there is a painful feeling. At this place, okay, there is an equanimous feeling. So likewise, you can distinctly recognize. I'll take a mundane type of an example. Suppose that you are going to pick your child after school. Say all the kids are coming out, with a playful, joyful manner. They are simply coming out. So how are you selecting, how are you choosing, how are you recognizing your child? You may be using various, marks, signs. Okay, my child is short, my child is fair, my child is like this, he or she is with short hair. Many little marks are there. With that, you quickly recognize, there she is, there he is. So that cognition part. So the recognition, cognition are actually fairly interconnected. So you are using certain marks in a way to recognize. And on the other hand, once you recognize, once you cognize, there you can use some kind of a intellect, some sort of a wisdom to understand. So there's another discussion going on in the Mahavedalla Sutta. So Venerable Mahakottita is asking, is this Vijnana and Panya, are they entirely different or are they combined, conjoined? What do you think? So the question is, Yachauso Panya, Yancha Vijnanam, Ime Dhamma Sansatta no Visansatta. That means, so there is wisdom, there is consciousness. Are they conjoined? Are they have a kind of relationship? Or are they entirely different? Any idea? So Venerable Sariputta says they are conjoined. They are connected together. They are working in a way together. Yanchauso pajanati tang vijanati. Yang vijanati tam pajanati. So when you cognize, then you can understand. If you are understanding, then you are cognizing. So they are interrelated. You can't entirely differentiate, or rather you can't entirely separate them. And then there's a question. If they can't be separated, then why are we introducing two definitions? So kind of two activities. That's another interesting question. That's the question asked by Venerable Mahakottita from Venerable Mahasariputta. Then Venerable Sariputta explains, Panya bhave tabba vijnanam pariññaya. You should develop wisdom, then only you can understand consciousness. That's a very, very interesting area. So without the development of wisdom, we are in a way trapped in consciousness. We can't understand the function of consciousness in a way. So intricate. Very much like bound together. So we are operating continuously based on consciousness, unknowingly. But we can't understand its even presence. So the very interesting sutta called Majje Sutta, probably you have heard. So it is explained. Now, whenever you are going through typical sensory experience, say through the eyes you can see forms, through the ears you can hear sounds, through the nose you can recognize some kind of an odor, through the tongue you can recognize a taste, through the body you can recognize a kind of a tangible object, and through the mind you can recognize a mental object. So this is how we are interacting with the world. Eyes with the forms, ear with the sounds, nose with the odors, tongue with the taste, body with the tangibles, mind with the mental objects. Is that clear? This is what we call living. Simple as that. How Buddha simplifies our whole experience. So we are giving names and times and presidents and prime ministers, blah, 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 blah. But Buddha say, okay, monks, it's very simple. Eye with forms, ear with sounds, nose with odors, tongue with taste, body with tangibles, mind with mind objects. Other than that, nothing else. Even if you go to the moon, what you are going through is just this. This is called loka. And now, Buddha say, how eye consciousness happen? There, probably you have heard, chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku vijnanam. When eye comes together with the form, then the eye consciousness arises. Dvayam paticca sambhoti. Buddha mentioned that two factors are essential for eye consciousness to arise. That is eye and the form. Essential, they are essential. Some other things are also necessary. Even though eye and form is there, if you don't have light, illumination, still you can't perceive the eye consciousness. You can't generate the eye consciousness. So that's another factor. And you need to have attention also. That's another factor. But primarily, Eye and form are most essential components. Similarly, ear and sound are most essential for ear consciousness to arise. Nose and odor are most essential for nose consciousness to arise. Tongue and taste are essential for tongue consciousness to arise. Body and tangibles are essential for body consciousness to arise, kaya vinyana. Then the mind and mind object are essential for mind consciousness to arise, mano vinyana. So you can see these types of consciousness are conditioned. They are dependent. For eye consciousness to happen, eye and form essential. For ear consciousness to happen, ear and the sound essential. For nose consciousness to happen, nose and odor essential. So likewise, these are the dependent consciousness, conditioned consciousness. And what happens when we see? So the eye consciousness happen, but it happens again and again. It is not that single eye consciousness. It's a very momentary eye consciousness arise. Next moment, another eye consciousness. Next moment, another eye consciousness. Next moment, another eye consciousness. A series of eye consciousness. It is not that you are going through a continuous existence of eye consciousness. Rather, it has a momentary lifespan. Eye consciousness arise, pass away. Arise, pass away. Arise, pass away. But happen as a series. As a momentary eye consciousness. So this picture we need to clearly keep in our mind. Now, unfortunately, what happened? So this arising of eye consciousness is not easily understood because of the function of craving. Say you see a beautiful flower. So immediately you like it. I love it. I want it. Let me pluck it. Let me have a photo of it. So immediately you get identified, you being attracted to the flower, to the external object, to the form side. Why? The craving immediately deludes us. So among many other things are there. Say various other objects are there. Among all that many objects, there is a beautiful flower. You have distinctly cognized that is the function of consciousness, but you didn't understand that. You forget it because that flower is beautiful. We think it is beautiful. We perceive it as really beautiful. I want it. I love it. I like it. So you are there. Immediately. It won't take long time. So you've been bound to the external end. Or what happened? I am the one who has prepared that flower pot. This is my flower. So there are many flowers available, and that fellow has distinctly recognized that whatever this flower, but that is my flower. Or my sister's flower. So you are basically identifying in this side, in the cognition side. So you are making a self, not the external side, but in the internal side. So that is also another trap. That is very difficult, because here we are identifying as a person. I am here, flower is there. I am the one who prepared that flower. That belongs to me. So you are connecting flower and you as two things, but whole knowing part, whole cognizing part, we forget because of the function of craving. That's why it is typically called as the kind of a seamstress. You know the seamstress is the one who is sewing. Sorry? Dressmaker, okay. Easy to understand. So kind of a dressmaker. So she's sewing. Whenever sewing, there are always two linens, right? Two what pliers? 2 pliers, two clothes. 2 clothes are there. So when you are sewing, it's always binding 2 clothes together. Each stitch binding the clothes together. So what are the 2 clothes? I and the form. As a result of the craving, it binds together. You don't know the function of consciousness. The function of consciousness is completely hidden. So that is the theme of the Majjhima Sutta in this particular example. Similarly, whenever we hear a song, if that song is a beautiful song, I like it, I love that, I want to record it, I want to listen it again. So you immediately get attached to the song. Suppose that song was sung by you, that is my song. I am the one who, sung that song. You can't sing like that. I am the one, I am the best singer. I won the prize in the, what's that? Some star, this star, Nissarana star. Nissarana superstar. So I am the Nissarana superstar who sang this song. I am the winner. So you immediately recognize into your side. Either way, trapped. Whenever the sound is there, either if you like it, you immediately attach to that end, to the external end, or if by thinking it is belonged into you, or I am the owner, you get trapped into this end, internal end. Both are traps. We forget the function of consciousness. The consciousness function, because of the function of consciousness, we were able to distinctly know, okay, there is a sound. There's a sound. There's a, word. All that are the cognition part that we forget. We couldn't realize that. Immediately we being attracted either to the external end or here to the internal end, maybe because of the conceit. So the defilements are playing a big role in our experience. Similarly, an order. Say you offered a flower to the Buddha. A beautiful, pleasant odor is now coming. Probably there you can say, okay, I am the one offered that beautiful flower. It is now giving a good fragrance. So I am the one offered it. So you being attached to the flower, the fragrance, or you are identifying with the fragrance, who has, as a person who has offered that fragrance, made that fragrance, belong that fragrance. Either way. Many different ways that we can say articulate. Many different ways we can define. Oh, it belongs to me, it is mine, I am the one who made it. Many different ways. Similarly, the taste. Say you prepare a good, delicious food, and once your husband back home, so he appreciate it. Oh, today, how did you make it? What did you add? In all those days, all these past days, you couldn't prepare like this. How suddenly you prepare this kind of a tasty food? And then you feel proud or you feel conceited, and here you identify, okay, I am the one who prepared it. It is my skill or it is my way of preparation, whatever the way, this is my menu. Or when you are experiencing that taste, you can immediately attach to that. You want it, I love it, let's have it on tomorrow also. Like that, you attach to that taste. Either way, we are trapped. Knowing distinctly, there's a bitter taste, there's a sour taste, there's a pungent taste. So this is the function of consciousness. That's what we learned already, right? The example given is that while you are taking food, while you are eating food, distinctly knowing each and every taste is because of the function of the consciousness. But we forget it. So intricate with our senses. These things are happening very quickly. They are very much intertwined. So intricate, we can't distinctly know what's really going on. So closely interwoven. So Buddha therefore explained it by dividing things. Okay, there is a taste, there is here the tongue. When they comes together, now the tongue consciousness arises. As a result of that, you can recognize, there is a bitter taste, there is a pungent taste, there is a sour taste, salt taste, whatever. But we are not doing like that. Instead, we immediately love that taste. I am the one made that taste. I like it, whatever the different ways. Similarly to the body. Say you are experiencing different maybe pressures, different temperatures, different tangibles, touches, sensations, many different things through the body while you are touching something, experiencing something. So there also, I am the one experiencing it. So you are making a self. Or what you are experiencing may be very pleasant. So you want it. I love it. And you want to be with that person who is giving that experience. So you want to own that person. You want to be with that person. I want to marry that person. Many different ways. Because you love that experience. That touch. That kind of a sensational touch. We love it. But we can't understand the function of the consciousness. The consciousness is responsible for distinctly know, there's a very pleasant touch. Now say, while you are walking, immediately without your notice, a dog come and bite. Is it pleasant? Or while you are walking, say someone softly come and touch your hand. You can distinctly know, right? The previous one is a dog's bite. This is a pleasant touch. Probably you may be softly looking at, But the previous one you might get afraid even. You might even blame the other person. Why the people have allowed your dog to come out? You should keep it bind. In case it happened in another country, you being even punished. That rule is not yet available in Sri Lanka. Maybe, I don't know. So the dog has to be properly vaccinated, properly trained, so that while he is moving with the people, he should not bite the people. Only such trained pet you are allowed to keep. In case your pet bite someone else, you are being fined. So that's another law in certain countries. So basically the point is, so when we are going through any such kind of a touch sensation, you can distinctly know, distinctly recognize. And when a thought comes to the mind, there also you can recognize, this is a lustful thought, this is pain, ill will. So you can know that also. You can distinctly know whatever the mental phenomena. When there is an idea, you can still know, there is an idea. This is my idea. Now you get trapped. If the idea is a brilliant idea, you can probably attach to that idea. You are thinking more and more in that line. You are into thinking now, you are trapped. That is one end. Or you can say, okay, this is my idea, you didn't have that idea, this is my idea. This is my design. This is my thought. So you are claiming that as your idea. Both ways, either in the internal side, either in the external side, we are being trapped. That knowing part, we forget. The conscious cognition part, we forget. That is the function of the consciousness. So the function of the consciousness is basically concealed, basically hidden. Because we being attracted immediately, that is the function of the craving. So this is in a way, very difficult to understand, very intricate, very subtle, very carefully interwoven, very difficult to understand how our senses are operating. So very fair depth is there in these explanations. So that's why we need to develop wisdom to understand the function of consciousness. Otherwise, very difficult. Otherwise, we are constantly being driven, constantly being trapped. If we get attached to the external side, still we are trapped. If we identify in the internal side as a person, still trapped. Say there are thoughts coming to your mind. So you simply think, okay, I am thinking. That is also you are preparing a self. Or you are thinking, okay, this is my idea, this is my thoughts, this is my creativity, whatever. Still you are trapped. So who is responsible for thoughts? There is no person. So when we are going deeply, that is what we need to understand. As even last time we discussed that. There is one French philosopher, Descartes, ergo something. I think, therefore I am. So thinking is there. He now understands, okay, there is thinking. Then I am here. Because thinking is there. When thinking happens, he identifies it, he recognizes it. If there is thinking happen, there should be I. So thinking plays a pivotal role in I-making. So whenever thoughts are there in the mind, you feel a presence of you. That's why people love to think. They keep on thinking. Even worrying is something helpful to create a person, create a personality, to create an ego, create a self. That's why we all love that. Even though we understand no point of thinking now, it's gone. It has happened. That fellow already married, but still you are thinking. Because that worrying creates a kind of a personality, creates a kind of presence of you. And on the other hand, even the anger. So when there is anger burning inside, you feel strong presence of a person. That's why we like to get angry. So if there is no much anger, if there is no any kind of lust, so you feel bored. You don't feel that I am living. For you to feel I am living, so you need that presence, kind of an agitation, kind of an activity, kind of an excitement in the mind. A lot of activity going on, a lot of thinking going on. A lot of defilements are there. So you feel your presence. You feel your ego. I am. So as we are developing wisdom, so all these things slowly we need to understand how we are in a way preparing all this. Now, another area, so Buddha deeply explained how consciousness aggregate in a way operating. So there's a beautiful sutta called Upaya Sutta in the Kanda Sangyutta. So there Buddha say, Upayo bhikkhave avimutto avipayo vimutto. In case if consciousness is attached with something, engaged with something, then you are not liberated. Such consciousness is not liberated. Unliberated. You are bound. So how it is get engaged? Rupa upayangva bhikkhave viññānaṁ tiṭṭhamaṇaṁ tiṭṭeya rupa arammaṇaṁ rupa patittaṁ nandupa sechaṇaṁ buddhiṁ virulhiṁ vepullaṁ āpacchaya. So Buddha say, either the consciousness has to get engaged with the form aggregate. Rupa upayangva bhikkhave viññānaṁ tiṭṭhamaṇaṁ tiṭṭeya. Then only it can establish. Rupa arammaṇaṁ. Rupa, the form aggregate as a base. Rupa patittaṁ. It has a, as a stand. And then nandupa sechaṇaṁ. As a result of that, you get kind of a delight. That's why it's happening. That's why it promotes. Automatically it's being going there and it's being promoted. And you support it. You love it. You allow it. Buddhiṁ virulhiṁ vepullaṁ āpacchaya. And that consciousness now growing there. And virulhaṁ. it increases there, and Vepullang, that means it expands there. Think like this. Now say for example, say while certain amount of water available, suppose it has a little bit of flat surface, and it is simply stay in a stable way. Suppose that there's a little tilt happen. Now what happened? So now that stream of water start flowing to a particular direction. It started only, but till this tilt happen continuously, keep on flowing, and it get connected, it get further and further joined, further and further, drop by drop, get joined, collected. Slowly the amount is growing. Now the water available here is now available at another place. Likewise, what happened when we see a form? Suppose you were mindful, you were unattached, your mind is basically stays. Assume that you are establishing mindfulness on the body, which is established inside now. But if something being seen, if that is beautiful, what happened? You are being interested about it. You look at and you see further, some more marks, slowly go there, attracted, thinking. Now you are there. Just for explanation, I am telling step by step. It will happen like this. That's the problem. It won't take long time. So with an example, we need to understand how our mind slowly being established there now. It was here, but now it is there. Say, for example, you are in the walking path. Again and again you are establishing your attention on your step. Very boring after some time. And now you hear a beautiful song. And slowly you being interested, you hear that sound, you recognize the singer, you start recognizing the lyrics, you can remember the lyrics, you start murmuring. Ultimately what happened? Even the walking happened according to that theme, according to that rhythm. You have been trapped. Fully immersed in that song. Not only you are enjoying it, even the walking now happen according to that rhythm. Completely, bound to that side. You become that, basically. So likewise, here Buddha explained the form aggregate as a home, as a station for consciousness. The consciousness can establish in the form aggregate, either in the rupa, the sight, either in the sound, smell, taste, tangibles, all are coming under the form aggregate. The physical side, the material side, is a very good station for consciousness, very good home for consciousness. When such form being associated, the consciousness is given a special name as Okasari in Pali. That means one who is associating a home. Okasari. So typically we all are associating homes, right? So we have kutis, you have homes. So all are having a dwelling place. So I am associating my kuti. I always come back to the kuti. You always go back to your home. That is your place to stay. Similarly, the consciousness associates form aggregate to establish, to stay, to deal with, to be with. Now, similar situation happens with the feelings. Feeling aggregate. Vedana upayangva bhikkave viññānaṁ tiṭṭamānaṁ tiṭṭeya vedana rammanam vedana patiṭṭaṁ nandupasecanaṁ buddhiṁ virulhiṁ vepullaṁ āpajjaya. Various feelings are there. Pleasurable feelings, say, for example. So whenever you are going through a pleasurable feeling, you being attracted to that, you become that, you love it, completely immersed in it. already there. So consciousness has become that, basically, has completely immersed in that, established in the feeling, completely absorbed into that feeling. You are being trapped. Similarly, Buddha explained about the perceptions, various signs. Say you are looking at something and different signs are there, and you are interested about that sign. You are looking at further. You want to go closer and look at it. So the signs that may promote various more signs into the mind. It can even lead to a perception. Oh, this is very beautiful. That's a perception. But it is based on the signs. If you look at very fundamental level, so immediately what happens, you simply recognize various signs, but that signs has promoted certain feeling. You are now further interested. Now you get more close look, more signs, more feelings. Now even thinking, now mind get crowded. You are trapped in the signs, perceptions. Sanya upayangva bhikkave viññānaṁ tiṭṭamānaṁ tiṭṭeya. So you can see like this. Now say for example, suppose this place was empty. Nothing was there, no one was here. Then someone is coming, the first person. Say he is putting one mat, he is putting another mat, another say cushion, another cushion, another cushion. Now another yogi comes, another yogi comes, another yogi comes. So now what happened to the place? It's getting slowly crowded, isn't it? Previously it was empty, but now it is having many yogis. Say many mats are there, cushions are there, yogis are there, lights are there, fans are there. So many things were there. So now we can say this place occupied, has many objects, many signs. How about after the retreat? Again everybody leave, everybody keep all the mats at the place. Again it's empty. Which one you like? Empty hall or crowded hall? What is shunyagara? Which one you love? So if you apply the same thing to your mind, you like crowded mind or an empty mind? You want to fill your mind? Do you want to occupy your mind with so many things? Whatever perceptions, whatever signs, whatever memories related to the past, whatever imaginations, whatever fabrications, say whatever your say wishes, hopes, expectations, again you are feeling with respect to the future. Many things you are putting, crowding. And even now you are listening, say you are experiencing through the current situation, through your senses, again you are absorbing things inside. So what happened to the mind? Get crowded, burdened, occupied, not empty. Which one is good? Which one you prefer? That's why sometimes people are used to this crowded mind. They want many perceptions. They want many thinking. They want to get attracted. They want to establish. They want to bound. That's why people love socializing. Being with so many people, chatting, talking, partying, socializing, Facebook, WhatsApp, email, through the mouth also talking, really crowded. Sanganika Ramata, Buddha say, socializing. So you want to fill your mind, attached, engaged, burdened. So, similarly Buddha explained about the thoughts as well, sankhara. Sankhara upayangva bhikkave viññānaṁ tiṭṭamānaṁ tiṭṭeya sankhara rammanam sankhara patittaṁ buddhiṃ virulhiṃ vepullaṃ āpajjayi. Whenever thinking happens, whenever thoughts are there, you promote it add more thoughts, thinking in this direction, that direction, get into conceptual proliferation, mind becomes fully crowded with thinking. Consciousness has a very beautiful place to stay, well established. Find delight. Buddhing virulhing ve pullang apaccayi. So this is how we are living. In a way, the consciousness aggregate either established in the form aggregate, either established in the feelings aggregate, either established in the perceptions aggregate, either established in the formations aggregate. So they are like the stations for the consciousness, homes for the consciousness. So always assume like this. Now assume the thumb finger as the consciousness. It can reach all the other four, right? Very easily. It's either associating any of these. Always with something. Always with something. Always with something. Always with something. Never released like. It's like the thumb. It can associate, it can be with, bound with, engage with any of the other four. So this is how the consciousness operates in a way. More deeply Buddha explained this in the Sutta. But the point is, whenever it is engaged, it is not freed. It's bound, engaged, not liberated. Established, bound, attached, grasped, colored, conditioned. Now, other problem is, when such engagement is there, it helps to have a rebirth. Not going to end the samsara. Even during the death moment, it associates something, helping it to be attached even in the next life. Even though the current aggregates in this life are abandoned, it is quickly get engaged with next lives, whatever the form, feeling, perceptions, formations. Continuity happens. Punabhava happens. Now, even a latent tendency is enough for consciousness to establish. Very subtle in a way. There's a sutta called Cetana Sutta. There Buddha mentioned Yancha bhikkhave ceteti yancha pakappeti yancha anuseti arammana metang hoti viññānassa titiya. That means if you are volitionally thinking, if you are conducting any kind of a volitional activity, say you are purposely seeing something, purposely listening to something, intentionally smelling something, intentionally tasting something, intentionally experiencing some bodily something, intentionally you are thinking, intention is there, ceteti. If that is there, very good source, very good station is available for consciousness to establish. That is one situation. Suppose you are not doing it now. As much as possible, you are reducing it. Suppose you are practicing anapanasati. Eyes are closed. So intentionally you are not looking at anything. Assume the environment is also very silent. Intentionally you are not paying your attention to any sound. That also not available. Suppose there is no kind of a pleasant or unpleasant odor. So it's also very neutral. Intentionally you are not establishing on the odors as well. Taste also like that. You are simply keeping your mouth shut, not eating anything. That is also not there. So what are we doing in a way? So we are reducing that establishment. We are reducing that engagement. The engagement of the consciousness now we are reducing, but only we are keeping it to the breath. We are selecting breath as an object. No sights, smells, taste, gross kind of other exciting tangibles, and you are trying even not to think, but only to aware of this subtle breath. Very difficult. Because consciousness is used to have a very good station in the form aggregate, very good station in the feelings, very good station, home in the perceptions, formations. But now we are restricting it in a way, reducing it. So it may argue, it may sort of, battle to have something to hold. So that's why when the breath becomes subtler and subtler, immediately there are kind of visions can happen, beautiful images can happen, you love it, you like it, you get trapped in that vision. You might get trapped in that perception. Because this experience is so subtle, the consciousness feeling very unstable because it is losing its footing during the process of meditation, particularly in the Vipassana. That's why we get trapped into something coming to the mind. If it could be feeling, we get trapped if we attach to it. It could be a perception, we could attach to it. It may be a thought, we can start thinking, we can start doubtful about it. But actually the path is properly working, making the consciousness slowly unestablished. We are trying to release the consciousness, free the consciousness. But it's going against the current, going against the habit. Habit is what? Either to associate form aggregate, either to associate feeling aggregate, either to associate perceptions aggregate, either to associate formations aggregate. Always something is there. Always you are actively participating with any of the aggregates, associating and aggregate. But the meditation is trying to release it as much as possible, going against the current. Very difficult. So, Buddha, even whenever you are doing Kayanupassana, dealing with the form aggregate, still the possibility is there to release it. But unfortunately, because of the immaturity, because of lack of experience, we might get attached with the feelings, get trapped in the feelings, get trapped with perceptions, get trapped with thinking. Though we were able to relinquish the body, materiality, the form aggregate, totally even, but we get trapped in the mentality. That's why we have to work with the feelings in the Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, maybe perceptions, formations, and in the Dhammanupassana, wherever any kind of subtle attachment is there, engagement is there, establishment is there, even that you need to work out to free the consciousness, to make it unestablished, to make it unengaged. So we'll look into that tomorrow. So what is the process really going on in the Vipassana? So I just want to give a little taste in that. So with that, I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.